Hello, everybody, and welcome back to my channel. And today we're going to be doing something a little bit different. Today I want to give you a relationship reading, a love reading. So, as always, I clear my deck and I shuffle and take what resonates with you. And if it doesn't resonate with you, leave the rest behind. It might be for somebody else. And let's see what comes up. We'll do one more shuffle here, and we'll see. Let's see what comes up. So we have the Ace of Cups. We have the Four of Swords, the Knight of Coins, the Three of Wands, the Seven of Wands, the Palace of Wands, Six of Swords, the Devil, the Tree of Life, Death. We have the Queen of Coins, the Priestess, the Hanged Man, and finally we have the Wheel, with outline cards being the Magician, the Five of Cups, the Moon, our favorite card, and the Seven of Cups. So, okay, let's get into it. So the first card that we have the Ace of Cups. The Ace of Cups represents emotions. It represents new emotions. You are on a journey right now. This journey that you're on is all about new emotions showing up. We also have the Four of Swords on top of it. The Four of Swords represents the mind racing at night, possibly even the mind racing at night, keeping you up at night. Maybe there's too many factors involved. Maybe there's some chaos happening between you and yourself, because relationships can be all about yourself as well. Maybe between you and your significant other as well. There's too many factors happening that's it's causing you to lose focus a little bit, right? We have the Six of Swords. The Six of Swords represents coming out of a turmoil-ish situation and moving towards that peace of mind. So maybe there was some challenges happening around relationships lately, and now you're starting to move forward into a more peaceful environment, right? And that's aided along with the Knight of Coins. The Knight of Coins represents forward momentum, forward charge, quick momentum in terms of wealth. Whatever turmoil was there before is now moving towards this peace and prosperity, and quickly. There's a lot of wealth coming in forms of relationship. Now, this can be a relationship for yourself as well. There could be some aspects, especially now. We'll get to that now. There could have been aspects of yourself that you had to look at and reevaluate and learn new parts of yourself, and that has now caused you to gain more love and connection with the new version of yourself. We also deal with the Devil. So the Devil can mean many things. The Devil can mean manipulation. It can mean control. It can also mean mainly what it means is control. So now this, for yourself, in terms of a relationship reading for yourself, it's learning to understand, especially now when we have the Hangman coming up as well. It's learning to understand that you do have control over a lot of aspects of your life. There are certain aspects of your life that are too big for you to control, but the Devil is all about regaining your control over. If somebody maybe had control over you, manipulating you of some sort, or maybe there were certain aspects of yourself that were tearing you down and keeping you stuck, this card is all about regaining that control, kicking the Devil off of your shoulder, releasing the chains, releasing the shackles, and stepping out of that shell, being more assertive in your relationship with yourself, with your significant other, whatever that may be. Maybe there was even a toxic relationship that you were part of, that now you have stepped out of that and moved away from that, or it has shifted into a phase where it's more prosperous, if I can put it that way, right? We then are met with the Three of Wands. Now that goes very well after the Devil shows up. We have the Three of Wands, which is all about getting to the end of the journey, getting to the point where you can see all of those rewards starting to come in, right? You've been on this long journey. It's been quite a chaotic one at that, and now you're at the point where you can start actually reaping the rewards of all the challenges you've been through, all the turmoil, all of the chaos, all of the obstacles that you've had to overcome. It's now actually starting to become worth it. And, well, isn't it very prosperous at that. We have the Palace of Wands there. The Palace of Wands, it represents abundance of opportunities, abundance of prosperity, abundance of external resources at your disposal. Now, this can be in a relationship format. There could be a lot of that from your significant other. There could be a lot of rewards now coming in from your significant other, making you feel like there's a lot of opportunities to grow, a lot of prosperity. There's a lot of positivity going on in the relationship where there once wasn't. In terms for yourself, that can be the same thing. All these insecurities or challenges that you've recently discovered about yourself that were keeping you up at night and not really knowing how to deal with. You've now overcome many of them, and you're starting to realize that there are a lot of aspects of yourself that give you a lot of that prosperity, a lot of that assertiveness, a lot of confidence moving forward to the next phase of your life, right? We are then met with the Tree of Life. Now, the Tree of Life isn't normally part of the tarot deck. It's part of this tarot deck in particular. The Tree of Life is just that. It's a whole. It's everything. I even have it tattooed on my arm for a reason. The Tree of Life it's abundance. It's all the resources. It kind of goes hand in hand with the Magician. The Magician is more about you are at the epicenter of it all. You can manifest everything that you want to desire because you have all the resources. The Tree of Life is more about this universal resource. It is resources from the spirit guides. It's resources from the earth. It's resources from the energy and ki alike. Just it's everything all in one, and you are at the epicenter of it all. You're just gaining all of this knowledge, this wealth, this abundance. And that is going to help out a lot in your relationships with yourself, with the significant other. There's a lot of support surrounding it. You've gone through all of the chaos, and with all of that support, you'll be able to deal with any chaos that may come. There could be a lot of conflict coming in. Relationships are never perfect. You're gonna have conflicts. You're gonna have arguments. You're gonna have like lovers spat, if you will, right? But there are certain aspects that can be deeper than most, especially after these last couple of years that we've had. There's been a lot of chaos. There hasn't been a lot of peace in a very long time in terms of on a global scale, right? So this journey that you've been on, all these challenges that you've overcome, not only with yourself but also with everybody else around you, you've now tapped into that universal resource. You have the universal resource from the Tree of Life, but you also have that internal resource from the Magician. There are so many different resources at your disposal to deal with anything that comes your way. And one of them can be conflict within yourself, conflict with relationships around you, either with a significant other or even friends and family. That also belongs in the relationship field. No matter what comes your way, you'll be able to deal with it. You'll be able to handle it because you've been through the ringer. You've been through everything. There's nothing that you're going to go through going forward that's going to create any that there's nothing going to stop you. Let me put it that way, right? We are then also met with death, right? Now, relax. This isn't a literal meaning. Death represents change. It represents a version of yourself changing in a way that you become a completely different person. That version of you dies, and you are reborn anew. So, and that usually comes from like really big life lessons, really big challenges, really significant insecurities that you've had to overcome, or challenges, or anything about yourself, or even with a significant other. Let's say for instance, if you go through a major breakup, then there are certain aspects of that relationship that you learn about yourself and about your significant other as well, that you will then look for something different for the next relationship to come, if that makes sense. You will change, but you will also look for something completely different, and that is where that death comes in. That version of you is no longer there, and you're born anew, right? And immediately after that, just like I said, the Queen of Coins comes up. The Queen of Coins is that overwhelming abundance of wealth. It's that feminine version of wealth. It's the emotional. It's on the emotional scale, on the spiritual scale. There's a lot of growth and change there. So from the death, you are born anew, and you gain a lot more insight. You gain a lot more knowledge. You gain a lot more understanding of yourself. We have the priestess that follows along with that. Priestess is major arcana, all about knowledge and all about balance, internal, external, everything as a whole. So you have all these resources, you have this major life change coming in your way, and you gain so much from it with yourself, with your significant other. We are then also met with the hanged man, just like I said earlier. The hanged man represents surrender, but it's a surrender to the universe, and that doesn't mean giving up. It doesn't mean that you have lost or that you're weak in any way. Surrender represents strength. It does represent strength. It's realizing that there are certain aspects of yourself that there are certain situations that are too big for you to control. Where we have the devil, it's all about being suppressed and regaining control. And then we have the hanged man, which is understanding that there are certain aspects that you cannot control. So it's a fine line that we have to walk in, a balance that we need to master in order to truly have a prosperous relationship with ourselves and anybody else. Because we cannot truly be in a relationship with anybody else 100% if we do not understand the relationship that we have with ourselves. If we're bringing any of our past trauma or turmoil or insecurities into a relationship, it will taint that as well. So the best way, if you're looking for a relationship, work on the relationship with yourself first. Deal with that part of you. Deal with the insecurities and the parts that you don't want to look at, and overcome that and learn who you are on the other side. Rebirth yourself. Find that lost, trapped soul that is still stuck in the turmoil. Bring them out. They don't need to sit there anymore. They don't need to suffer any longer. And once you're able to find out who the new version of you is, you can then share in that joy with somebody else as well if you're looking for a relationship. And then you become a completely different person when you're in the relationship with a new person, right? You start adapting to their wants and needs as well as them adapting to yours. I mean, at least in a perfect world, in a perfect relationship, that's what's supposed to happen, right? We are then at the end of the reading, we have the wheel. The wheel represents the ending of one cycle, the beginning of a new, right? It represents karma card. It represents how if we are able to overcome these aspects of ourselves, we are able to create that new relationship with ourselves, we will then that is the tail end of what we need to do. That will end this journey and it will start a completely new one. But we need to get to that phase where this is the last step. We need to now overcome that last hurdle. We need to regain the control that we had lost, that has been suppressed, that has been somewhat caged. We have to regain that control, gain some assertiveness, gain some confidence within ourselves and our relationship, but also give up control that we don't have control over everything. We need to find that balance with control, with ourselves, with our relationships, because you can't control somebody else. That's what this is all about, right? You can't control somebody else. You need to find out. It's that give and take, right? The hanged man and the devil, they go hand in hand in terms of control. Figuring out where that balance lies. That is where that's what's going to be the last step, and then you can move over into the next phase of relationships, the next phase of prosperous, of joy and love to come. So outline cards, we have the magician that goes hand in hand with the tree of life. It's the internal magic that you have, right? It's the emotions, the swords, the wealth, the prosperity, all of those external resources, or everything that you can do as a human being in order to get to where you want in life. If what you want in life is a relationship, a significant other, okay, so what do I need to do with myself? What can I do to better myself so that I can find somebody, right? Or deal with the insecurities of having to go out and look for somebody, or what is it about yourself that's stopping you from gaining a relationship or getting a relationship? Figure out what that is. Or if you're already in a relationship, working on building the relationship. What is it that you can do in the relationship to make it better, right? That's what the magician is all about there. Resources at your disposal. Where do you see yourself in 5 years? Work your way there. We have the Five of Cups, which goes hand in hand with death. It goes hand in hand with the Four of Swords. It goes hand in hand with the Devil. It's all about grief. Whenever there's a major change in your life, especially when there's a death, right? We talk about that major shift in yourself, that the old version of you ceases to exist and you are born anew. There is a grieving process, even if it is even if it is a internal soul version, and there is still that grieving process of like that person no longer is here anymore, and now I am gonna become somebody completely new. We have the Moon. And of course, this is our favorite card in the whole deck because it's come up in almost every reading that I've done so far. It is dealing with those shadow aspects of yourself. It's facing the dark side. It's facing those insecurities. Death follows along with it because that is what happens when we acknowledge those parts of ourselves and overcome those challenges. We move past it. That version dies. The new person comes out on top, and we have to figure out who that person is. And then we have the Seven of Cups. So at the end of it all, the Seven of Cups is emotions, 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 emotions. There are far too many emotions to deal with all at once, so we have to single one out. Deal with it step by step by step, internally, externally, in our significant relationship with ourselves. What I'm seeing here, most of this is to do with the relationship to do with yourself, right? But working on the relationship with yourself will always benefit the relationship that you have with a significant other if you have one, right? So, if any of that resonated with you, please take what resonates and leave the rest with me. Of course, at the end of all of my readings, I like to pull out all of the major arcana to see what the major lesson is. So, let's see what comes up. We actually have a lot this time around. Okay. May as well do a whole reading on major arcana by itself. When it comes to relationship readings, this is usually what you get though. Relationship readings are a fan favorite. So let's see. We have 8 major arcana. That's almost half of the reading. So we look at the outside cards first. Major arcana in relationships. We have the Magician. The Magician is all about knowing that you have all the resources at your disposal. It's all the personal resources that you have. So emotions, mental states, external resources, as well as wealth. What can you do in your relationship with yourself, as well as in the relationship with the significant other, to make it grow and prosper? What is it that you need to do? Where you see yourself in 5 years, and work towards that. Right. We have the Moon dealing with the shadow aspects of ourselves, those parts of us that we don't want to see, insecurities, anxieties, trauma, and actually, we don't want to see them, but it's all about facing them, overcoming them, dealing with them, using the resources from the Magician to deal with those shadow versions of ourselves, overcoming them, embracing the light, becoming a whole new person, and benefiting from the rewards, benefiting from the new relationship with yourself, as well as benefiting from the relationship that you have with your significant other. We have the Devil. The Devil is all about overcoming manipulation, regaining control that you may have not had because you've been suppressed. When it comes to yourself, it's all about those Moon aspects, right? Those insecurities, that trauma keeping you down from gaining a better relationship with yourself, or even gaining a relationship with a significant other at all. With a significant other could even represent a traumatic or a turmoil in the relationship where the significant other may have been suppressing you, and it's all about getting more assertive, not dominant, but more assertive, and regaining some control there as well. We have the Tree of Life. Now, where the Magician is personal resources, the Tree of Life is universal resources. That comes from that comes from your higher self, it comes from your spirit guides, it comes from your ancestors, it comes from the earth itself, from everything else around you, from just energy as a whole, is a resource in helping you gain better relationships with yourself and with your significant other, right? Tap into that, use that, because you're going to need it. The next card is death. Death represents rebirth. It's a whole new version of yourself that comes out when we deal with those moon aspects, and we get rid of the trauma. We get rid of we don't get rid of the trauma. We deal with it. We acknowledge it, and we learn from we find love in the trauma, right? We become different people, so that version of us that was once stuck, the version of us that was once suppressed, is no longer there anymore, and we become a completely new human being. And that is what that death represents. Followed on with the priestess. The priestess is all about knowledge. It's knowledge that you gain from the moon. It's knowledge that you gain from death. It's knowledge that you gain from the magician and the tree of life and the devil. It's knowledge internally. It's knowledge externally. It's knowledge as everything. It's spiritual knowledge, emotional knowledge, intellectual knowledge. It's knowing who you are, and the only way that you know truly who you are is by dealing with those parts of you that you don't want to deal with. Unfortunately, there's no cheat code, there's no easy way to get that. We then have the hanged man. The hanged man is all about surrender. Surrender isn't always seen as a weakness. It's not giving up. This is suppression. This is freedom. Freedom, or this hanged man, is all about surrendering those parts that are inside of us or externally that we cannot fully control, that are too big for us to deal with, or we just don't have the resources right now to deal with it. There are lessons to deal with. There are lessons to know in surrender. There are lessons in the silence. There are lessons in the chaos. Surrendering all these aspects to the higher realms, to your higher self, to your guides, to your ancestors. It creates a sense of freedom that clears your mind and your soul and your heart, so that you can focus on what's in front of you right there and then, and learning the lessons that come from that. And after all of that is said and done, we are left with the wheel. And the wheel represents an ending of a cycle and beginning of a new. And we're only able to begin a new relationship cycle, whatever that may be, once all of these aspects have been acknowledged and overcome any challenges that that you may need to overcome as well. And finding the love for yourself, so that you may reap the rewards from the relationships to come. So if that resonates with you, please consider giving it a like. Please consider following me, and I'll see you in the next video.